September 4th, 2021, a group of hikers trekking along a well-known trail in British Columbia stumbled upon a horrifying, gut-wrenching sight. Lying in a pool of blood, a massive female grizzly bear had been savagely mauled to death. Deep, jagged stab wounds tore through her neck and upper abdomen, leaving her lifeless body a gruesome testament to the violence she had endured. The hikers, shaken to the core, immediately alerted park rangers. Wasting no time, the rangers had the carcass airlifted from the trail, fearing that the stench of blood might draw in other predators and endanger anyone nearby. At first, officials were baffled by what could have caused such a brutal attack. The wounds seemed too precise to be random. Someone or something had stabbed this bear intentionally. A necropsy was performed on the remains, and that's where the results pointed to a chilling and unsuspecting killer. Thriving in the most brutal environments where no one dares to linger, let alone survive, this savagely built creature strikes with brutal precision, leaving nothing but chaos in its wake. Armed with horns sharpened to a lethal point and feet that can grip any terrain with ease, this unstoppable beast goes head-to-head with the most fearsome predators of the animal kingdom, ready to tear through anything that dares to challenge it. Meet the unexpected killer of grizzlies and cougars, the mountain goat. 63-year-old seasoned hiker Bob Boardman, his wife, and a few friends had stopped for lunch at a scenic overlook in Olympic National Park back in October 2010. After a long hike, they were just kicking back and getting ready for the rest of their journey when out of nowhere, a 4-foot-tall, 300-pound mountain goat, yes, you heard me, a goat, came charging in. Boardman, the group's most senior, tried to shoo the aggressive beast away while his friends backed off down the trail. He was supposed to join the group after dealing with the animal, but instead, all they heard was his horrifying screams. They rushed back to find the massive ram looming over Boardman's injured and bleeding body, still refusing to back down. The group tried yelling and screaming at the ram, but it remained unfazed. The scene quickly drew a crowd, including an off-duty ranger who managed to get the mountain goat to back off by using an emergency blanket and throwing rocks. Reports later revealed that the officials were already aware of this aggressive ram due to previous incidents where it had harassed hikers and blocked the trails. Rangers eventually tracked down the ram, which had blood on its horns, and they had to put it down. Sadly, Boardman didn't survive either. While this incident was rare and bizarre in all aspects, what's even more strange was the reason behind it. But that's for the story later in the video. First, let's give them a proper introduction. Oreamnos americanus, better known as the Rocky Mountain goat, snow goat, or just white goat, is a sure-footed bovine that makes its home in the perilous subalpine and alpine regions of western North America. The only species of its genus, its name comes from the Greek words oros, meaning mountain, and amnos, referring to lamb. Funny as it may seem, despite the name, it's not actually a goat. Instead, it's part of the caprinae family, which includes goat antelopes like wild sheep, the European camoe, muskox, and true goats in separate genera. A male of this species, called a billy, stands around 3.3 feet tall at the shoulder and typically weighs between 100 and 300 pounds, which can be up to 30% more than the female, known as a nanny. Despite their stocky build, these mountain goats have incredibly powerful, muscular bodies, especially legs that let them leap over 11.5 feet in a single bound, while also generating enough force in a head-on collision to take out just about any predator. The signature move in these confrontations is the lethal use of a pair of long, black, knife-like horns extending from their heads. These sharp, formidable weapons of defense and intimidation can grow 6 to 11 inches in length and have a menacing underlying detail. Unlike the broad, spiraled horns of bighorn sheep, mountain goat horns are sleek and consistent in thickness. This means that when they lower their heads for a clash, they're not just aiming to slam into their opponent, they're targeting a precise stab to the neck or abdomen. Their opponents, too, are not just average animals. This starving cougar has its eyes set on a tough catch. It makes a swift move, pouncing on the goat and shoving it toward the cliff's edge. But instead of backing down or running, the goat stands its ground, lowering its head to jab the cougar's vulnerable spots with serious force. The cougar, though, is too hungry to care. It keeps attacking and trying to bring down the goat with its paws, but each time the goat delivers a crushing counter with those horns. Then, with a smart shift in strategy, the goat gets behind the cougar's defenses. And that's when the big cat finds itself in hot water. Trapped against the cliff, the cougar takes a few more nasty blows, and then realizes this might not have been the best move. The deadly showdown ends in a stalemate. For most of the top predators out there, it's pretty much the same story. Those massive, deadly horns keep them at bay, if not take them out entirely. Grizzlies, cougars, wolverines, eagles, or even other mountain goats, they can go toe-to-toe with anyone at any time. But they don't actually get to use those horns all that much. Most land predators can't even handle the kind of habitat the goats live in. They survive at heights that are just off limits for anyone else. In fact, mountain goats are the largest mammals found in their high-altitude homes, which can soar past 13,000 feet. That is higher than most small planes fly. But that's not just about the altitude. Living in North America, their habitat is crazy steep, and rocky mountains where winter temperature drops well below freezing, and summer is just a fleeting, insignificant relief. To handle the terrain, the mountain goat's feet are built for climbing steep slopes that can hit angles of over 60 degrees, and sometimes even 45 degrees. The outsides of these large hooves are rock hard, while the inner pad is flexible. They can spread their hooves wide for better balance, with flexible pads working like rubber soles on mountaineering boots to boost traction. The tips of their feet feature sharp dew claws that they use while descending to enhance balance and control. Plus, their short stature keeps their center of gravity low, which helps them stay steady on their rocky turf. And with the perfect sense of balance, if they jump onto a ledge and start to slip, they immediately leap off and keep hopping until they find their grip again. With such precise footing, even if a predator tries to chase it down, it's almost impossible to keep up with these slick creatures. For the predator, that rough, steep terrain is a tough slog, but for the mountain goats, it's just another day in the park. So these chases can drag on for several minutes, with the predator getting worn out or even taking a nasty tumble down a slope while the goats keep darting around between the rocks. On the flip side, their long, woolly, grayish-white coats, topped with an outer layer of hollow hairs, help them survive in the bone-chilling conditions, with temperatures dropping as low as negative 51 degrees Fahrenheit and winds reaching up to 99 miles per hour. These fluffy coats also give them a leg up against aerial predators like eagles because their color blends in seamlessly with these snowy ice caps. Still, eagles do sometimes manage to grab a baby mountain goat, but all in all, with those perfectly balanced traits, the threat of predation is almost non-existent. However, with those advantages comes a whole lot of other risks. At such dizzying heights, mountain goats often succumb to accidental falls, avalanches, rock slides, and even lightning strikes. In fact, these accidents take out more mountain goats each year than all the predators combined. Another big challenge on these snow-covered mountains is finding food. During harsh winters, mountain goats can face starvation when there's no vegetation available. They're herbivores, and they usually graze on grasses, herbs, ferns, mosses, lichens, and the twigs from low-growing shrubs in their high-altitude home. But when winters hit, there's hardly any grass left uncovered from snow, putting them in a tough spot, sometimes even leading to death. This starvation issue also takes a toll on older goats once their teeth have worn down from years of munching down. In the 1920s, experts uncovered something really odd about mountain goats when they were introduced to Washington's Olympic Mountains. Away from their usual habitat, these goats turned to quite a nuisance, especially around people. They'd often approach hikers, block their paths, or even act aggressively. While no encounters ever ended fatally back then, it was believed that the goats were reacting to human sweat and urine. Basically, in their natural habitat, mountain goats lick salty rocks and other mineral-rich surfaces to get essential nutrients. However, when they're moved to new areas, away from those natural sources, they're drawn to the salt in human sweat and urine. Several hikers have shared stories of how these goats followed them for weeks, chasing and licking the spots they had peed on. The goat that killed Bob Boardman back in 2010 was probably after the same thing. It's almost like the big guy was just going, "Let me lick you or I'm literally gonna freak out." Jokes aside though, deaths from mountain goat encounters are extremely rare. In fact, Bob's death was actually the first recorded human fatality from a mountain goat. Nevertheless, they can definitely cause some serious damage. Over in the Olympic Peninsula, this behavior got so out of hand that officials ended up capturing and relocating the goats to Cascade Mountains to keep people safe. During the summer, mountain goat nannies team up to form nursery groups of up to 100 individuals. Here, they flex their dominance in various ways, from fierce, icy glares to outright battles with their competitors. When the mating season rolls around in late October, this aggression hits a new high. Males have to be super careful when approaching. They normally lock eyes with nannies for extended periods while keeping a check on their competitors until the nanny gives them the green light to mate. Even then, they approach slowly and submissively to avoid getting gored by her sharp horns. In the polygamous mating system, males mate with multiple females during a season, and sometimes females do the same. As the mating comes to an end, a 180-day-long gestation period sets in, usually ending with the birth of a single kid. Within hours of birth, the newborn can follow its mother over steep, dangerous slopes and stay with her for a year until her next kid comes along. Over a lifespan of 12 to 20 years, these animals keep reproducing annually after reaching sexual maturity at around 30 months. With a total population of about 48,000 to 62,000 and a stable trend, they hold a least concern status on the IUCN Red List. And considering how frequently they give birth, it seems like hikers might want to be cautious about peeing outside for too long. Anyways, what do you guys think the best way to answer nature's call is when a mountain goat is nearby? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I will catch you later.